Hello and welcome. Today we are in the new Tier 8 American battleship, Tennesse. The video is in two parts. First we talk about the ship and then play a match. Tennesse is a dreadnought style battleship, meaning that she is very slow but looks cool. Her standout feature is that she gets cruiser dispersion, not battle cruiser, cruiser. I think this makes her the most accurate battleship in the game, even though she doesn't get a dispersion upgrade because she's tier 8. And I hate it. I don't like the ship. Sure, the accurate guns are very nice, but she is slow. Unbelievably slow. I hate these dreadnought style battleships for their slowness, because I feel like I just can't really play the game. I can't push for objectives, I can't flank, I can't do any of the things that I'm really used to doing. But probably the biggest weakness of being slow is that if a flank collapses, you can't reposition. You're not fast enough to run away if your team lost the flank, therefore you die yourself. And you're not fast enough to get to another battle if your team wins the flank. That being said, I think this is kinda what the US Dreadnought battleship line should have been like. I think that they should be able to somehow deal more damage, whether that's from higher damage per minute or accuracy, it doesn't really matter, but they should have had a lot more going for them. Right now I think the only good US Dreadnought at higher tiers is Vermont. The rest just aren't good enough. I think they should get some kind of Tennesse-like buff, maybe. Maybe not quite cruiser dispersion, that seems a little too much, but something like that. Anyway, I'm saying in a roundabout way that Tennesse seems pretty good, even though I hate the slowness. Being able to hit ships even from far away is pretty great, and does help a lot to make up for the lack of speed. Other than the slowness and accuracy, Tennesse does get another downside. She has 356mm guns. This means that she has significantly less penetration than many of the other, if not all of the other battleships at her tier, and she cannot overmatch the bow and stern of a heavy cruiser, let alone of like a tier 7 battleship. As a result of that, I ended up shooting HE on her most of the time. The accuracy does actually make it pretty good though. Oh, and despite the fact that her guns are smaller, she still gets 60-second turret traverse, which is pretty annoying. The armor of the Tennesse is pretty good. You have a 32mm bow and stern, and the deck armor and side armor plates. A 35mm torpedo protection belt and a standard 19mm superstructure. Your citadel is below the waterline, which is pretty nice. It's pretty significantly below the waterline. And even on top of that, you have a pretty thick casemate for a tier 8 battleship. Your turrets are also pretty well armored. 457mm armor plates, that's pretty nice. Although your side profile is pretty big, so it tends to be... You're gonna take a lot of penetrating hits, probably not citadels though. For captain skills, I went with Emergency Repair Specialist, Grease the Gears, Adrenaline Rush, Concealment Expert, Emergency Repair Expert, and then Improved Repair Party Readiness. Initially I went with a standard battleship tank build, where I took fire prevention on top of that, but eventually I realized that I really wanted a little bit more speed, and then ended up going with Brisk. Since I had 2 points left over, I figured I would go for Vigilance. And that gives you 42% torpedo protection. And if you noticed on the armor scheme, the torpedo belt is actually very extensive. It covers a very large portion of the ship, which means that you can get a decent amount of value out of it. On top of that, Vigilance improves the acquisition range of torpedoes, so you have slightly more time to react. Now, the game suggests super heavy AP shells, but honestly I don't think it worked very well for me because, well, I just don't fire AP that often. HE on this ship is pretty good, particularly because you can't overmatch many cruisers that you meet. Upgrades, it's pretty standard. Concealment Systems Modification 1, then Damage Control System Modification 2. This is the only part where you really have a choice, I think. I used Artillery Plotting Room Modification 1, with this gave me 23.4 kilometer range with a scout plane. But I think actually Main Battery Modification 2 might make more sense, because without this you have a 48-second turret traverse time. This is with the captain skill, so it's a 60-second base. So if you want your turrets not to feel extremely slow, well, Main Battery Modification 2 might be better. I just figured that since my ship is also slow, well, I might need the extra range because I might just not be in range to actually fight in higher tier battles. Then Damage Control System Modification 1 and obviously Main Arms Modification 1. Although, because the turrets are pretty well armored, you could also go something like Damage Control Party Modification 1. 40% consumable action time on Damage Control Party makes the 22 seconds with the flag into over 30 seconds, which is pretty damn great. So, let's play a match. It is a tier 10 battle, but honestly, it's fine for Tennesse. You just fire more HE. You have 356mm guns, so it doesn't matter whether the enemy cruisers have 25mm of armor, or 27, or 30, you can't overmatch any of them, so you just fire HE if they're angled. And the thing is, at tier 10, the battles do tend to be longer range, so you just, HE is better anyway, because AP might just not have enough penetration. But you do have cruiser accuracy, so fighting long range feels pretty alright. In fact, you're likely to want to do that because of your slowness. See, we landed 3 shells from like 24 kilometers against a moving target, and Wisconsins do move pretty fast. You could fire AP and you'd probably be just fine as well. I just like HE. So I'm gonna push towards the enemy. Honestly, in a ship like this, it's a bit of a mistake, especially in a tier 10 battle, because if the enemy pushes, I cannot disengage. I am nowhere near tanky enough for that. And it's not that something that armor would ever really solve, because, well, the problem is you just get focus fired. Ho ho! 7 shell hits from 19 kilometers. Now that's what we're talking about. Man, look at how seriously slow this ship is. And slowness lends strength to one's enemies. I am taking a bit of a gamble doing what I'm doing. See, the surface ships are whatever, but I did spawn on the same flank as the submarine, which means that there is the enemy submarine right here as well, and my ship is not exactly the best one for running away. Oh, hello, Kremlin. Oh, and she's already on fire, so she really won't appreciate more HE. Wow. 5 shells out of 6 landed. Okay, it'll be fewer on this one. Okay, that's the Kitakaze torpedoes. We're gonna avoid those. And I guess we'll just turn around and keep shelling the Kremlin. Could have also swapped to the Yumihari, I suppose.
The ship is on fire.
Okay, we are on fire, but our trusty damage control party will take care of that, and hopefully we'll get a fire on the Kremlin as well. Wait, is the Kremlin actually gonna be run off now? That should be a perma-fire. Hopefully. Okay, I think our Thunder is gonna eat a torpedo. That's not good. Oh yeah, I think our Thunder might just die here. Well, that's a little unfortunate. I really was hoping for his support. Since we're not gonna have it, I'm gonna turn around a little bit. Maybe I can draw fire, but Tennesse is so slow that it's very hard to do this. Oh, we got double fire on the Kremlin. Wait, she has a triple fire now. Yeah, she's definitely gonna back off. Okay, never mind. This is okay. This is perfectly fine. I am unspotted, so there's nothing around that should be able to threaten me. Other than the Kitakaze, I suppose. But she can't see us. By the way, this is a CV battle with tier 10 CVs no less. We do have defensive fire, and the anti-air on the Tennesse is alright. But honestly, no amount of anti-air is enough against... Oh! Wow, well done, Thrasher. Really well done. Thanks for deleting the KitKat. Okay, well in that case I can just go closer and use the island to turn around later once I get there with my extremely slow speed. Let's try to set the Kremlin on fire again. She must have used at least 2 damage control parties already. Okay, that is bad news. That is really bad news. Submarine right here. Oh no. I mean, I should have expected it. But still, oh no. I suppose my torpedo belt will come in handy. Vigilance not so much, because you can't really dodge these torpedoes. Ah, she's already disappeared. Okay, I'm just gonna eat those torpedoes fully. But, doing so, I'm gonna be... No, maybe we can avoid some... Hey, we avoided one. We're gonna avoid a second one, but that's it. Unfortunately, my rudder's done for, so I'll just have to pray that I don't get torped again. But I am getting closer to the island, and I should be able to use the island to stay safe from the submarine, because she's obviously not going to want to be within 3 kilometers of me, because she can't do damage. So she should be backing off, and that should give me some breathing room. Come on, 7 seconds. And once that happens, I'm gonna use the island to just turn around and start, I guess I might as well start sailing to the other side of the map, because it seems we have won this flank. Not because we really outperformed the enemy, but somehow they just didn't want to fight. I mean, they have 3 battleships here, a Kremlin, Wisconsin and Yumihari, and they just aren't contesting. Sure, they lost their Kitakaze, but they still have the submarine. Oh, I suppose maybe it's the black, the DD here, because then they might get torped by 2 ships, the sub and the DD. Oh well, it is what it is. I mean, it's their choice. And I think I am gonna get away safely. Because I don't imagine the submarine's gonna pop out in front of me. Oh, yeah, she seems to be on the other side of the island. And so I guess I'll just shoot the Yumihari or the Wisconsin again, and... Oh, never mind. Goodbye, Yumihari. I'm gonna take the safe route out, because the game definitely isn't over. I mean, we're just even in ships, even though we have won this flank. Unfortunately, we aren't as successful everywhere else. Okay, Kremlin is coming closer. She does want to push, but since Wisconsin isn't really supporting her, I think that Kremlin is just going to donate the ship kind of for free. Okay, Wisconsin. Why me? Well, 4,400 is alright. Have some HE in return. Yeah, the focus radio should be the Kremlin, but there's 2 sets of islands in the way. Oh, another fire on the Wisconsin. Man. Only 3 shell hits, but considering the range, that's pretty damn good. Okay, Wisconsin used damage control party, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. So that the next time I fire and the shells land, it's possible for it to be a permafire. Which should be about now. Maybe I fired a few seconds too early. But it should be about now. Okay, Kremlin's back. Well, kind of. So, she's gonna be our next target. Oh, 6 hits and no fires. I suspect I fired a little too early against the Wisconsin. Or maybe I just got unlucky. It is a 30% chance to start a fire per shell, which would be about 15% against tier 10s. But I mean, 6 shell hits, that is pretty close to a fire anyway. And we got 1 against the Kremlin instead, who is going to burn down most likely. Great. So, flank's over. Submarine is still alive, but we do have a destroyer somewhere out there. So we should be perfectly safe. There's an Essex here, who will be safe here, I hope. And I guess we'll just move towards the B cap. Ever so slowly, because that's as fast as our ship goes. Oh! Wisconsin tried to turn out. Man, imagine if the Wisconsin, Yumihari, and Kremlin had turned around all at the same time. They might have actually been able to do something, but because they decided to come one by one, it's not really gonna work. Man, I just cannot get over how slow this ship is. It's only like a 10 knot difference in speed, right? Or maybe even less if you compare to ships like Yamato, but somehow that difference just feels so incredibly large when you're actually playing the ship. Especially in tier 10. Like at tier 7, some of the maps you'll be in are a lot smaller. Tier 6, tier 5, it doesn't feel as bad. But on these very large maps, the slowness really does add up, and it just doesn't feel great when objectives are just so far apart. I'm just so used to playing faster ships because I just kind of like positional play. Like, you get into a great position, you flank the enemy, you push them when necessary, you fall back when necessary. You can't really do that in a ship like this, since you're too slow. If the enemies overwhelm your flank, you're not fast enough to run away. And if the enemies just fall apart, you're not fast enough to really drive in the advantage. Although, I think we'll be able to fight the Anhalt soon. And maybe the Trump. Depends on which ones of them end up staying and fighting. Oh, the submarine's still alive. Okay, I mean, this is one aspect that this ship has absolutely no issues with. ASW on this battleship works just as well as ASW on every other tier 8 battleship. Well, most tier 8 other battleships. Ooh, 4,200 damage. But I think we won't be able to hit anymore because the Yumihari is gonna take care of the rest. Maybe we'll get a single drop off. Or maybe even two. Probably not though, she's gonna be out of range by then. But we are gonna get to fight the Anhalt, I hope. But this should secure this A cap. And we should be able to pretty safely push into B without anything ever actually threatening the A cap anymore. And as long as we take control of B and don't lose too many ships without the enemies losing any, we should be fine. And that should be a win in this match. We're almost certainly gonna lose the gearing. I would be extremely surprised if the gearing somehow manages to survive all of this. Okay, never mind. She definitely did not. We did fire at Trump from like 21 kilometers. Let's see, are we gonna hit? 21 kilometers and a DD is very far. Oh, we did! 2 shells even. That's like 10% of the destroyer's HP just gone. Wow. 21 kilometers against the destroyer. That is really surprising. Anyway, the next target will be the Anhalt. I am gonna load AP in case the enemy ends up showing some broadside. If not, I can always just swap back to HE for the next salvo. We are ultimately a battleship, so AP into the superstructure will still deal significant damage. Also, we seem to have the help of our submarine. Oh, hello Anhalt. Her guns are pointed elsewhere, so it's gonna take her a moment to actually properly engage. Question is, does she have torpedoes? Oh, 9,300 damage. Nice. Question is, does she have torpedoes? Right now, her angles shouldn't be great for that. Let's see. 6 kilometer torp range. Okay. Well, she's not in range yet. But she is likely to fire those torpedoes. Oh! Wow, we didn't actually get to fire again. Well, thank you, Essex. We do have to worry a little bit about there being a set of torpedoes in my future, but hopefully they will just miss. I'm firing HE at the Smolensk. She is low enough that just a few shells will be good enough. So I think trying to fire HE that won't overpen is gonna be good enough. think that's the Anhalt's only torpedo, and... Decisions. Do we fire at the Trump or do we fire at the Smolensk? Well, Trump it will be, since she is going to be a harder target to nail down later on. Oh! Ho ho ho! 3 out of 6 shells? Nice. Let's see how the other 6 do. Come on. Oh! 5 out of 6. Man, cruiser accuracy is incredible. Who would have thought that on a battleship that would be extremely strong? Oh, goodbye Smolensk. Courtesy of the Essex. Trump is airstriking me, but I think she's gonna just die to this. Goodbye. Nice. She did almost certainly launch torpedoes though. They shouldn't be enough to actually sink me, so even if I do get hit by them, I'll be okay. Oh, there they are. Anyway, the enemies only have 2 ships left. The the Almirante Grau and the Midway. I guess now is the time to take our slowness into range. Which is gonna take quite a while. In fact, that's actually one of the reasons why I picked this match. Just to show how annoying this slowness is. I just don't understand how people can enjoy these kinds of ships. I just get so bored when I play them. Because look, it looks so slow. We're gonna speed it up a little bit, okay? But even then, it still doesn't feel particularly fast. This is at 4 times the speed. And it's still... we're still sailing, and we're still sailing, and we're still sailing. And we're gonna continue still sailing for a while. Until the Almirante Grau decides to show her face. But she has so little HP, we only get basically this one shot. And HE would have been perfectly fine because she is so low HP that it doesn't matter, and I finally got to shoot something and the Bungo stole all the glory. Although, Bungo did actually die to the Almirante Grau. So, considering we only have the Essex, my Tennessee, and this Thrasher left, which, by the way, to the submarine, being the, well, I suppose only ship other than me and the CV alive, is pretty well done considering she ended up capping the bases. I will be surprised if the Thrasher doesn't get a very high score. Now the Midway is gonna attack me. Honestly, you can't really dodge very well because you're so slow. The ship does have defensive fire, so we do actually shoot down a fair number of planes. 4 strike planes in an attack is pretty decent. Especially when you consider that she's a tier 10 CV. But will we ever get to fire some shells at the Midway? Who knows. Game's gonna end in 10 seconds, so I just launched a scout plane anyway. Oh, actually we do get to fire this one salvo. Unfortunately, it is a carrier with an armored deck, so even if we do hit, the shells will ricochet off of it. Yeah, 4 ricochets right there. Maybe I should have just fired HE. Not that it would have made much of a difference. But we did 243,000 damage. We sank 2 ships, we got a dreadnought. I mean, honestly, it's a pretty damn good game. 2262 base XP, of course nowhere near the 3000 the Thrasher got. But he played very well, and it was a game that suited him very well. Honestly, if it wasn't for the slowness, I would love the Tennessee. So maybe the slowness actually does balance out the incredible accuracy of the ship. Maybe. But it does definitely feel better than the American dreadnought line for tier 8 and tier 9. This ship feels more like it should be before the Vermont in the line, so instead of the Minnesota, for example. But for those people who enjoy these slow dreadnought style ships, this ship's gonna be great, and I really hope they have a lot of fun with it. I just hope they'll be on my team rather than the enemy team. No thanks to the extremely accurate HE spam. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.